Welcome back. Me and my office. So today, before I talk about today, let's talk about what we talked about last week. We started the process of designing a web page, specifically a capture page for making money. We talked a little bit about how it makes money. I want to wrap that up today, show you the completed page, kind of highlight a couple of things that I did offline to make it look better, and how to do it in the design tool Pencil that I introduced you to in the last video. And then we're going to jump into the next section of the funnel, and that is going to be the Autoresponder, or the CRM database. And we'll talk about that. We'll show you what I'm going to recommend and why I recommend it. We'll also give you or show you how to go and build your first autoresponder automation, as they call it, and talk about what that means. And then in the links below, I will provide you a set of PHP files that will allow you to link into this tool, the autoresponder, and add people. So, are you ready? Then let's get started. Okay then. So, last week we built this page. Now, if you went through that video, you'll go, wait a minute, that's a little bit different. I did come back through. I dressed up the wording a little bit. I highlighted some things. I want you to take a look at it so that you have a chance to see what it looks like. But that's not why I'm bringing it up this time. I'm wanting to show you a page that I added. I added this page. There's a reason for adding this and why I wanted to talk about it. We're going to be talking about going to your autoresponder or CRM database right now. And this is the page that's going to do that. So we want to have this in our prototype. There's a couple of things I want to talk about. I want to talk about why did we put a progress bar? You're almost done. This is because psychologically people don't like leaving things undone or partially done. So we're going to use that to our advantage. We're going to tell them, you're not done here. There's more to do. Everything about this page says continue on. I talk about a free gift. This is your lead magnet portion of this. We're saying, give me something, I will give you something in return. So now, this is a weight loss industry, is kind of the way that this is pointing to more energy, more lose weight faster, all of those things. So this free gift would be in those, or in that niche as well. We add in these fields. I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. And then we add this down here that, we'll never spam you or sell your email address. And then this button, click to continue. This says we're not done. This says we're not done. So everything about this page says, do this, but we're not done. There's more to do. So we're going to show you now how to build this. I've already built it, but we're going to just redo it. Start back at the capture page. Hit the add page button. Did this before. We're going to link it to the capture page. Now, for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to call this form 2. Now, this is where it's different. Our background, we're not going to select color, we're going to select page that we're going to have in the background. In this case, the capture page example. and then we're going to create. Now we are actually on the new page. You notice down here, it's Form 2. Let's go back to Bootstrap. I'm going to show you how to get the grayed out effect that we're looking at. We're going to grab our palette, or panel rather, and drag it all the way to the top here. Doesn't really matter, just get to the top and then go off the page. Now we're going to grab it, the hook, and drag it all the way to the bottom so that we cover the entire page. Looks like we've blanked it out. This is going to be a two-step process. We're going to first take it, turn it gray, not gray, I'm sorry, black. Now we're going to set the opaque. We want it not 40, we want to get as close to 50 as we can get. We don't want to be much higher than 50. This is, I wish you could use your, oh look at that, you can use your cursors keys to get a little closer. I did not know that. And then you see what that does, it grays it out. Then we grab the same panel, throw it in, and adjust it to size. Now I'm off a little bit, so we're going to adjust it down. Now I'm not going to build this whole thing because we've already done that. This is what it looks like. It will look like when we're done. So one of the top things that's on there is a progress bar. This is inside the XP widgets. So we're going to grab this, bring it over. Now there is a progress bar inside of Bootstrap. Oops. Or there it is. You've got these progress bars inside of Bootstrap. You look at it and you're like, oh, that's a little different. You see this yellow thing? You move this down. I'll show you what it's supposed to do. That element is broken in Bootstrap. You're supposed to be able to adjust that. So let's delete that. I recommend using the one from the XP widgets, which is right here, which is down near the bottom, by the way, right here. I'm going to adjust that a little bit. We want it not quite 66%. We want it just past halfway. And then we start filling in our buttons and fields. Now, what I used for the fields is in the generic wireframe. I just came up to the top and grabbed the fields. And I'm going to show you. There it goes. Just a couple of things here with this once I get this on here. Okay. Obviously these things are too small for what we want. They don't fit the window. Adjust that up. Now what we want to do is I'm going to grab this down and bring it on screen so you can see. This is emoji copy, and what I do is I go find the emoji for what we're looking for. In this case, this is a person's name, so I'm going to just grab the blank. Copy it. Oh, there it went. That was bizarre. I got too many of them. It was copying without me knowing it was copying. A little lag going on there. So, copy that. Let's take that off screen again. double click in the field, Control V, paste it, and then we type the field name. You can do the same thing with everything else as well. Since we already have this built, I'm going to just show you the lining up of stuff. Line it up. Line it up. Line it up. Right click. Link to thank you. Okay? And then you just go through those steps and build it out so it looks like this. You can get the email icon from that same website and paste it in. And when we go to build the actual page, it'll do the same thing. Now, I have a mistake. Well, I fixed it already. I had a different progress bar back here. I went in off camera and actually fixed that. When we first built it, I put a different progress bar. Everything should match on your website all the way through. Now, this one, this button down here, doesn't go to anything here. It actually links to your product page. So we can't go and link it from here. But I wanted you to see what this form looked like, because this is where we're going to be focusing, and how to go and fit it in to your environment inside of Pencil to make it look like, with the background grayed out, where to get the fields, how to add this character, and all of those different things. Now I'm going to go ahead and just delete this page because I already have it, so I don't need it. I'm going to hit the save button up here. So now now that we've looked at the background and that one page, let's step into where we're going to put this information, the autoresponder. So we'll see you back in just a minute. Alrighty, where I want to introduce you to, or what I want to introduce you to, is Twilio SendGrid. Now, to get it up front, I am not an affiliate of this site. I use it myself. I think this is a great tool, and I am introducing you to this because of this button right here. Start for free. I will include this page in the description below. I want you to have an opportunity to get started in an online business without the high-end cost that you have to have. Let's go ahead and get these cookies accepted to get it out of the way here. But you can have 100 emails per day forever, which works out to be about 3,000 emails a month. So that is terrific when you're starting out. Now, as you grow, it can grow with you up to 100 emails for $20 a month. Now, something that also happens is you don't get some things like the access to email verification until you get to the higher end. But you have the APIs, you have automation, you have deliverability insights You have trouble ticket support. You have everything in the popular, I'm sorry, reading the word here, in the free version that you have in the pro version where you can do 1.5 million. Now, as you add, you can get up to 15,000 emails a month for that. If you go a little bit higher, let's see, where does it change? 60,000, 70,000, 100,000 emails per month. Right there. 200,000 emails a month for that $89.95. Now again, I am not an affiliate here. I just think this is a really good product. You can do the same thing up here at the start. Get up there on the essentials. You know, it stays 6,000, 8,000, 15,000, 20,000, 40,000. Oh, there it was. 60,000 is where it changes. 50,000 emails per month for $20 per month. This is an amazing product for a really good price. So, let's dig into it further. Now, I already have an account. What you do to get started, let's start with the free. It allows you to upgrade at any time. No credit card or commitment required. You hit the free button or start for free. In fact, you could even hit the start for free button there and it'll take you in. And then you just start filling out the information, accept the terms. You can read the terms here and get a full description of everything that they allow you to do. They allow you to do affiliate marketing in this. It's an excellent tool. So let's stop for a minute and then dig in and talk about the database that this builds. Alrighty. What I've got on the screen right now is SendGrid. SendGrid is my recommended Autoresponder / CRM database. When you create an account, you should be aware there's going to be a dual authentication process that you have to go through, and sometimes that ends up in the spam folder of your email. So look for it in there. It'll be from Twilio SendGrid. When you log in, it'll bring you into this page right here, which is your welcome page. This page talks to you about how you can go and do whatever you need to do. Now, there are other videos on YouTube for setting up SendGrid, so I'm not going to go into details about that, but I want to tell you there's a few things you have to set up before you can start sending emails or receiving members to your list. The first thing you need to do is come down to settings after you get in here and come down to your sender authentication. And you need to go through this process. Now, if you guys want details on how to set this up, how to set up your DNS and all of that stuff, send me a comment down below and I will create a video for it. It's relatively straightforward. I have a specific host that I recommend that I have talked about in other videos that I think is the best solution because it gives you complete flexibility to do whatever you want inside the online marketing arena. So let's go on with it. So you have to go through this process. I recommend away from link branding. If people have NT authentication or internet monitoring system or something like that, it's going to cause you headaches. So just stay away from link branding, because what's going to happen is their security systems are going to look at that and go, ooh, This is going someplace I don't think it should be going because it's changing up. And then it goes and throws it out, which isn't good. So do those things, set this up, and then up in the marketing area, you need to come down and set up sender. It's always fun waiting for computers. Now I've set this up off camera. You need to verify once you get this set up. This little circle over here, they won't let you email if you haven't had a verified sender, verified domain authentication, and your emails will get rejected if you do so or send emails. So you want to go through this process. You will have to have a valid email. They do not want Gmail here. They want a domain name. I've talked in other videos on how to go about doing that, so I'm not going to cover that here. So the last thing you need to have set up before you can start sending emails is the unsubscribe group. You just click on the new unsubscribe, and then you go through that process of labeling and so forth. Now, at this point, we are ready to actually send our first email, except we're missing something. We don't have anybody in the system. So what we have to do now is create our list. So we come into contacts. You already have a global list. This is everybody. I don't recommend using this because you don't have any segmentation that you can do. It's difficult to run automations against this and not have everybody in the list. So I recommend the creation of two new list. So let's do that now. To do that, you come up here and you go create new list, and then you give it a name. Now, I've named this new weight law. Oh, I should have named it something else. You can click on the list. It'll come up and import names. You can, once you're in this, edit the name. We'll just pretend I did that on purpose to show you that feature. You go back to contacts and it'll take you back out here. I suggest you make a second list as well. Come up here, new list. I call it bulk. Now, these list names are not visible to anybody outside of the management system of SendGrid. So, you can name it Fred if you want, as long as you can keep track of what that means. I try to use names that mean things to me so that I can understand. So the next thing you need to do is you need to have some way to input people into your list. But before we do that, let's have something happen for them when they get in the list. That's done through automations. Now, what automations are is they are a preset or programmed sequence of events that occur when a trigger is activated. We'll talk about what that means in just a second. So you come in and you go create automation. Now you could do a standard welcome, but I don't like the way that comes across. I like having more control on what I'm doing. So we're going to come over here to custom. Then it's going to ask for a name. This name is only visible to you. It's not visible to your subscribers. So you could name it anything you want. I'm just anal about the way it should be. And you can see sometimes my keyboard acts up and causes me to do things that I don't want it to do. So there we go. So after you get the name, which was more difficult for me than it should have been, you come down to the criteria. Now the criteria is your trigger. What causes this automation sequence to happen? You do have several things you could do as a trigger. Well, on the unpaid version, you have a welcome. When they are added to the list, that's it. So we're going to add them to, when they get added to this list, we will have a email sequence occur. Now you're limited on your free version. You cannot do, well, let's talk about what this is first. You also need to have when they're done with the automation sequence. And the exit criteria that you have available is when they have received all of the emails that have been sent or that will be sent via the automation. They no longer meet the criteria. You have limited criteria up here. This is not going to work for you because that means the very second day they won't be new, so it'll kick them out. Or when they meet a criteria, a following criteria. If you click on this, it would give you another set of fields that you can fill out to define what that criteria is. This is not available to you on the free version. You get that functionality when you go to the paid version. The next thing that you have to have is the unsubscribe group. Now, our unsubscribe group is Keto Biz. Now, categories is a way to sort things for reporting. This is very deceptive. It took me almost a year to figure this out, which is embarrassing. There is nothing in the menus that allows you to create categories. And so you ask yourself, it says select categories. You would think that there would be something somewhere where you could create that. This is a flaw, I think, in the design and documentation of SendGrid. All you have to do is type the category. It does not tell you that anywhere. And then select create. And now it has a category. But the documentation is lacking on that. I'll tell you, I like SendGrid. I think it's a great system. The pricing is amazing. But I think they had a mistake there. So this is the actual sequence now that you're going to go through. Now, when you first come in, you should be sending an email. And I'm not going to go into that right now. Let's go in and add our next sequence. Well, actually, you hit add email, wait 3 days. I don't like to wait 3 days. I prefer to wait a day. Have your second email sequence occur. Do it again. Change it to a day. Okay. We want their email sequence to run for 5 days. Now, this I think is a shortcoming of SendGrid. The only thing you can do in the automation is emails. It doesn't give you an opportunity to do anything else. And there are other email systems out there that allow you to really make decisions. Oh, they didn't open this last email, so sequence them back through so that they get the same email again. You can then move them between lists. There's lots of things you can do that they just don't seem to have available inside of their automation process. So I like do 5 days. I've got 4 here. Okay. So now what you would do is go through and add the content for all of these. These little buttons over here allow you to go in and edit the email. Just go through that process. Comes in. Oh, it actually took you back to the automation, not the email. That's not what I expected. Oh, here it is. Edit the subject line. Set your subject line. Set your sender. Whatever your subject line is. Go through that a little bit, I guess. Now when we come down here and look at this, it gives you that. To get in and actually do the email content itself, you click on your add button, and that gives you the opportunity to select a template, your email designs, or select from an already existing design. I prefer my emails to be more simple, so I start with a blank template. I go ahead and use the design editor. You can use the code editor, and it actually gives you more flexibility on what you want to do, but you have to actually know HTML. Now, although I do, I'm also more into let's make it easy. So now there is a little bit of a lag as it goes and creates these emails. So let's just talk about this for a second. This side over here is where all of your information is about it. The subject, the pre-header, the sender, the unsubscribe group are already filled in for you. They already have put an unsubscribe block. This is a requirement. If you don't have this, you are in violation of bulk emailing laws, and you will get rejected and then banned from hitting Google and Yahoo, which are the largest email providers in the world. So that's a bad thing for you. If you go to the build, you get your different segments that you want to have inside of this. So for example, you can come in with text, close this, come in with columns, and then it allows you to change your column styles. I prefer to have 1/3, so I'll have like an image over here, for example. Then you come here, gives you a chance to put an image into there. Now I don't have any images, so it tells me that I can upload an image, and then it takes you to your hard drive and allows you to go and say, okay, this is what I want. So I'm going to just come here because I happen to know I've got a particular graphic that I am going to use on all of my emails practically. So I will go ahead and upload it. I just have to find it. Oh look, it's me. Isn't that lovely? Insert image. And then you can come in with text and put it into the other side and have a signature block. Now, something else I want to talk about while I'm in here is tags. So let me come into this. Now, if we come in here and we click on tags, we have first name. You can click on this, copy to clipboard, Control V to paste it. Now, default is here, and what you can do is override that and put or set it as blank and put your comment, and then fill in your email information that you want to send them in this email. So you have to come back into the settings and adjust the settings. Now this is another flaw. You just set the subject line out there, but yet you have to set the subject line in here. It's not perfect, but it is what it is. So I don't remember what I put as the subject line. You can come back in and edit this. So I suggest you save. Hit this little arrow button right here, which will take you out of it and back into your automation, and then you've got it here, and it actually has overwritten the subject line. So the lesson from that is do the subject line in here. Don't do it over here, and then it will work appropriately. So now that we have an automation, now obviously I haven't gone through and set up all of these automation sequences and everything yet, but we want to do this before we start sending anybody to the list. So the next thing we want to do is actually create a sign-up form. Now, every autoresponder out there has the ability to do this. It varies. Almost all of them also have an API. API is Application Programmer Interface, is what that stands for. I prefer to use an API. I will actually give you an API for well, not an API, but I'll give you the PHP, which is your web scripting for SendGrid that I have built off their documentation, and I will give you a list, well, not a list, but instructions on how to use it. There will be a link below to get access to that, so that you give me an email so that I can send it to you, and I'll send you the instructions on how to go ahead and implement that. You must have a site that will allow you to upload PHP files and execute PHP. If you do not have a web host service that does that, I suggest Hostly. I will also provide a link for Hostly down below as well. Now, if you use Hostly, I do get a small commission for that, and it's itty bitty, but I promise I will have fun with it. So, nonetheless, let's get back to the creating a form. So, create a new form, sign up form. Click the button. It's going to ask you for, well, it's giving you a default form. This is the default setting for all of these forms. You notice it does not have a name. Well, not a good name anyway. So suggest you go and give it a where do you want it to go? Now this is where you want it to do this. And then on submit, what do you want to have happen? Send a message. Thanks. We want more than that, so we'll work on that in a bit. But let's go and look at what we've got on this side. It says up here, add a strong call to action. Now we're going to actually take this and embed this inside of a form, not a form, but inside of a web page. So you have to remember what it's going to look like, and where you're going to have this, and style it to that effect. I'm not a robot. This is something to just double check them. You can change your button. If we come down here to build, you can go and modify these things. You've got fields that you can add in if you have other things you're asking for. I recommend you don't ask for any more than this. You can create custom fields, which I don't have any in this case. You can update your text right here which will update this. You can then style your background color. Let's change our background color so you can see what I'm talking about here. Of course, that's ugly. We don't want to do that. When you go, oh gosh, that did not work well, you can hit the reset button to put it back. You can change your text colors. You can change all of those types of things. Change the text on the submit button. You can change the radial, that is these curves on the button. You can change your font size and paddings and text colors. So you have a lot of flexibility in what you can do here. Once you get this done, always save and apply. this share code. Now, this up here is going to open this specific dialog box in a standalone window. We're not going to want to do that. We're going to want to come down to this one here and do an embed. And so we will copy the code here. And then close. And we're done. So with that, we now can add somebody into our list and start marketing to them through the email list. You do that through single sends after the automation. Create a single send. Looks the same thing. You select your email design. Give it a minute. Now, over here, you have your categories. There's that category that you sent. Who is it going to be sent to? Oh, that did not come across well. Let's try that again. Well, you want to go here. You can't see it very well. Let's clear that and take, wow, I've not had this problem before. You have two lists and it's not letting me select the first list, so we'll just go with that. Your unsubscribe list has to be set. Now, you notice the little red dots. Little red dots are things that are required. Your schedule, specific date, your time zone that you're running in. All of that is set up at the beginning when you go through and do a setup of this. So let's talk about a pre-header for a second. Your pre-header is what shows up under the subject line on like a mobile phone or something like that. This has proven to allow more opens if you've got a good pre-header as well as a subject line. Now select your sender, title, hit the save, and then it'll go for review. Now I don't have everything set up here, so it won't let me do that. But it hasn't been sent yet. Give it back here. It tells that it's in draft mode. You can come in here and edit, which will take you back into the message to set it up at a later date. Okay. So this is an autoresponder. This is why we're capturing those pieces of information on our web page that we built last week. Well, that we prototyped last week. We need to have this in place before we actually put that web page up and make it accessible and drive traffic to it. Otherwise, you're just sending people to your product site and not capturing any information where you can't market back to them. This is that secret ingredient, if you will, inside of online marketing that the gurus use that people don't talk about very much. Now, this has been just a highlight overview, not an in-depth dive into how to build this, but I've tried to give you an understanding of how this system works a little bit. The key thing to take away from this
is building the sign-up form. Shared code. And capturing this information right here, because we will be using this when we build our web page later. So we're going to go ahead and close that.
All right, I've given you an overview of an autoresponder. This autoresponder that I've highlighted, which is SendGrid, I will have the URL down in the description below so that you can go and get your free access to that, along with Pencil, which we talked about earlier, just in case you missed the last video. I will also have a link for to get your email so that I could send you your API for SendGrid. And I will include instructions on how to use that API. Now, the API is not necessary. It is just a more, in my opinion, effective or efficient way of accessing a list. There are APIs on almost every autoresponder out there. I have used Aweber, I've used SendLane, I've used GetResponder. All of them have an API. For those of you that aren't into that sort of thing and you're like, I don't want to do that, there's also alternatives for that as well, which I talked about in the video, how you could build a form for signing up inside of the autoresponder and then link it to your page. I will go in the next video or so, because sometimes these things get long. I will go and show you how to embed that into a page, and then you'll get a full picture of it. So, as always, enjoy talking with you, enjoy meeting with you. Hope to see you next week. Have a good time. See you next time.